today's webinar for IPSE. My name is Luann Wise, I'm your speaker, and today's topic is social media measurements that matter. Thank you for joining live if you're on this session, or thank you for watching the recording afterwards. If you are on the live session, then feel free to pop any questions in the box. We will be looking at that as we go through the session, may answer them during the session or try and save them till the end as well. So I will just crack on with today's topic. It's quite a meaty topic in the world of social media, so I will take it slowly. Because you're just hearing my voice, I'll just do a quick intro and share a picture with me in case you haven't listened to one of my webinars or talks before. My name is Luann Wise. I'm a marketing consultant. I'm a small business owner. I'm in year 8 of running my own business now. I work with a number of clients as a retained advisor, primarily in terms of marketing planning, social media, business to business. My clients range from law firms to manufacturers to recruiters and financial planners. Just over 2 years ago, I published my first book. I'm holding it right there, Relax, It's Only Social Media. And following that book became the Social Media Planner, which was recognised by The Independent as one of the 9 best books for entrepreneurs. I'm a LinkedIn Learning course instructor. I'm an accredited Facebook trainer for the She Means Business campaign with Enterprise Nation, and I'm really proud to be an ambassador for IPSE. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can find me on any other social media platform at Luann Wise. So today's agenda. I'm going to talk a bit about social media measurement just as an intro, and really get onto the heart of this webinar is that what matters to your business. As I said, part of this is from my book, and I extended the book last year into the Social Media Planner and a specific workbook called Social Media Measures That Matter, which has an intro to social media measurement and places to record all the data that we're going to talk about. So that's what I'm sharing on this session, and I'll send a link at the end so that you can take a look at that in a bit more detail. I am also author. One of my LinkedIn Learning courses is Social Media Marketing ROI, and if you have a premium platform, a premium membership, then you will be able to access that. So just checking the chat box. One person says they can't see my slides. Can anyone else pop in the box that they can see the slides? We saw them as we were testing. Is that there? Oh, we can see the slides now. Great. So, lovely. That's the beauty of having chat boxes on webinars. So, as I said, this is the agenda for today, and you can still see my photo in the bottom right-hand corner on that slide grab from the Social Media Marketing ROI course on LinkedIn. I'm going to talk about what I believe are the measures of success on social media, and then run through very briefly where you can find the analytics on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and ultimately on Google Analytics as well. And as I said, we will have some time for Q&A. So social media is kind of simultaneously the most measurable marketing channel, and also the one that's quite difficult to assess. Like traditional media, a lot of the added value of social media will never be measurable. And there's a large number of social media users who are influenced by social media but never interact with you online. Prospects that don't interact with you directly may still be influenced by seeing your content and may purchase in store or via your website. There's also a need with social media measurement to distinguish between the short-term and the long-term effects of social media activity. Things like competitions will inevitably result in greater immediate engagement, but they might not provide beneficial long-term effects such as brand loyalty and repeat purchases. There are so many social media analytics tools available out there, either within the scheduling platforms that you may be using, such as Hootsuite, Buffer, MeetEdgar, or specific measurement platforms. And although it's really important to understand what you're getting back from the time, money, and resource you're putting into social media activity, the vital factor, I believe, is that you need to bear in mind and only measure what matters to your business. So what does matter? Well, it matters if it's helping you achieve your business goals. Now, I run a number of face-to-face workshops and online courses, and actually sometimes this is the biggest stumbling block, is that people don't have business goals. They don't write their business goals down. If they're an employee, they don't always know what's going on in their directors' heads. They believe that they know the goals, but they haven't shared those with their business. And if you don't know where you're going, the quote is, how are you going to know that you get there? It really is important to spend some time thinking about what success looks like for you and where you want your business to be. And if you were doing this in real detail, I would say that you should make those goals and objectives SMART. That means that they're specific, that they're measurable, they're achievable, relevant, and time bound. So you need to set some real specifics around what it is you're trying to achieve for your business and then for social media. And your measurement is about whether you're achieving those within the timescales and measuring what matters. And it matters if you know what to do when you look at the measurement. As I said, there are so many measurements and so many stats and data and insights that you can look at for social media, but if you don't know what to do when you see that number, or it doesn't tell you something that's going to make a difference, then it doesn't really matter. So what I'm trying to say is just really, really focus and don't get overwhelmed. So I believe that there are 3 key measures of success that interact to create the social media big picture. And that's volume, engagement, and website traffic. For volume, all too often, we just focus on audience size by the number of Facebook page likes or the number of Twitter followers. Yes, this does matter. It does have a place. It's good to know that the size of the opportunity and to aim higher in terms of audience acquisition. I mean, why would you stop at 1,000 followers on Twitter if the leading trade magazine in your industry has 40,000 followers? And the size of your audience does matter because you need an audience in order to have any successes. However, audience size doesn't give you any indication of quality or impact, which is why it's often referred to as a vanity metric. More important than audience size is the growth rate, measured as a percentage change over time. And it's also important to ensure that you have the right audience. And I'm going to show you that within the analytics tools, because there's no point in having such huge audience if they're not in the right country, they're not in the right job, they're not of the right demographic. Reach, well, that refers to the number of people that have a chance to see your social media content. Unfortunately, due to the way that some of the algorithms work, not all of your followers, your fans, your connections see every single post, but it is important to use this as a metric, and the social media tools will give you that data. And impressions are the number of times your content is displayed. A Facebook post could show up in the newsfeed from the original publisher and appear again when a friend shares that post. So impressions is often higher than reach. Engagement. Engagement measures how much people interact with your content. It's a measure for the social part of social media and can include likes, shares, retweets, mentions, comments, replies, and direct messages. And since the social media platforms are said to prioritize posts in their news feeds using engagement as a signal, it's an important quality measure to focus on. And in turn, it helps to increase your reach and impressions. Staying on top of mentions and responding to comments, replies is really important for brand perception and relationship building as well. So if your content isn't getting engagement, something's wrong, either in your content or in your targeting. And then finally, website traffic. If your goal is to use social media to drive traffic to your website, you need to look at Google Analytics. This is recording how visitors are reaching your site and what they're doing once they're there. If you want to really specific, you could track the performance of any individual links on social media using UTM codes. I'm not going to go into that in detail, but it's something that you might want to look at afterwards. And remember, social media is great for driving traffic to your website, for getting people to download content, sign up to email newsletters, lists, etc. Going back to your goals and objectives, you have to know what you want people to do once they've seen your content on social media. So let's dive in and have a brief look at the analytics within each platform. If you do have that LinkedIn Premium account and can watch the social media ROI course, there's actually live demos of each of those platforms, but I'm just showing you screenshots during the webinar today. Twitter Analytics is great. It's so easy to use. When you're logged in to your Twitter account, along the top, next to where you see your profile photo, the little downward arrow, click on that for the drop-down menu and it will take you to your Twitter Analytics. And what you see on the homepage of Twitter Analytics is, along the top, a 28-day summary. And it will also have green and red arrows depending on how you're comparing to the previous 28 days in terms of tweets, impressions, visits to your profile, how many times you've been mentioned, and your follower growth. As you scroll down that page, you'll be able to see month by month the top tweet, the top mention, the top follower, and also your top media tweet. That's really useful to know what's most popular content and what you perhaps might be able to repeat in the future. Down the right-hand side, again, as you scroll down month by month, for every month you will see the number of tweets you've posted, the number of impressions that gained, the number of people that have visited your Twitter profile, number of mentions, and the number of new followers. So there really is so much data within Twitter Analytics, even if you're posting using a third-party tool, that will tell you what you need to know. If you look along the top bar of Analytics, next to the home is tweets and audiences and events. These are also really worth a look because, as I said earlier, it's not just about the size of your audience, it's about the right people in your audience. And this will give you some insight around gender, around household income, and around the rest of their interests, and also their location. That's the Audiences tab. On the Tweets tab, you'll be able to see all your individual tweets, their reach, impressions, and engagement. So much data in there, and you can export a lot of it to CSV files as well if you're a real data geek and like to play around with it. Now, if you're running a Facebook page for your business, you will know that there is a lot of data again within Insights. I've just put a couple of screen grabs onto this slide deck because every business is different. Everyone's use of individual social media platforms is different, but again, it's important to look at the insights within it. A very simple overview within Facebook Insights will tell you your actions over the last 7 days, or you can change that drop down to 28 days or be specific about the time period. Again, you can export that data if you want to. And I said about hitting the right audience, so you can go down the left-hand side and go to people, and this is where you will see the gender split, the age split, and the location split of your Facebook fans. Again, for me, this is really interesting because I have a very different audience on Facebook to I have on Twitter. So it's really worth looking at because it can shape the content and how you use the individual platforms. Whenever anyone asks me kind of what's good, what's right, what's a benchmark, my answer is the answer is in your own data. And it's about trying to make sure that you're hitting the right people for your business, for your goals, the right audiences, and that you just continually try to improve what you're doing. It's a test and measure, things change all the time, particularly Facebook probably has more functionality changes than anything else. LinkedIn. LinkedIn data, there's lots of data within LinkedIn. Again, it's a matter of knowing where to find it. What I've focused on in this slide deck is your own personal data, because even though you should have a company page, most of the time freelancers and contractors are the only person within their business. So therefore, I don't recommend that you use the company page to post content or interact or try to build a following, because people do business with you. If you have a number of employees in your organization, I would recommend using your company page as a content hub and then asking your colleagues to share the content from there with their own network. That's where you'll get the greatest reach. I haven't included company page data but it is available. It's available by job title, demographic, engagement. So if you do have a company page, it's worth a look at. But I would bear in mind that majority of people following your company page are likely to be your employees and your competitors. So the data might be skewed from what you're actually trying to achieve. So for me, what matters on LinkedIn, the way I interact, the way I use LinkedIn, the way I post content, I'm looking at the box that's on my homepage down the left-hand side, and two key bits of data for me are how many people are viewing my profile and how many people are looking at my content. So I'm sharing with you the stat that I grabbed from this morning, 519 profile viewers in the last 90 days. And you have a nice graph when you click onto that in LinkedIn. And for me, that just helps me really try and continually improve, try and work out where the peaks come from. So you can see at the very beginning of the graph, I had a peak in profile views at the beginning of November, and I can actually track that back to a big event that I was involved with. So I was probably posting more content that week. I can also see that there's a dip around the end of December, which is great because that was Christmas week. So hopefully people weren't on the platform and were taking some time off. Right now, my profile views are down 8% on the last week. So I know that I need to do something to increase that. And, you know, I'm kind of competitive with myself on that. I want to continually improve. For me, people viewing my profile is a business opportunity. So that's, you know, that's my key measure. But I also want to know how many times I'm appearing in search. And when you're on your own LinkedIn profile in edit mode, you will see your own dashboard, like the blue box at the bottom. So I can see here that I've had 181 search appearances versus the 519 people have viewed my profile. I'm really happy with this because it means that a lot of people are viewing my profile, not just from search, but from the content that I'm sharing within the newsfeed and that my network are sharing as well. I have seen some examples where the search appearance number is a lot higher than the profile views, which means people aren't getting the click through to their profile. So they're not showing up with a great photo or with a great headline to encourage people to click through and have a look. So for me, this data is unique to me, but I'm measuring myself. I'm trying to continually improve. Interestingly, those 310 post views were on a share from Ipse's LinkedIn page talking about today's event, but I just wanted to show you some data from another post that I posted last week following an event. Very simply, I did a post myself on my LinkedIn profile saying that I'd had the privilege of hosting an event marketing masterclass in Cambridge. I tagged the people in from organising it. I included a couple of hashtags about the event, and within a week that's been viewed over 3,000 times in the feed. The reason it's got so many views is because 52 people have liked it. So that's my direct network, have put it in front of their audience, and they've got some more likes from there, and also comments. Really useful to me is that I can click on the likes and comments and see who those people are and engage with them if I wish to. I can also click on that little graph in the first box, the 3,149 views of the post in the feed, to see a bit more detail about them. I've grayed some of it out because the first panel shows the companies, the companies that they work from who have viewed the post. Some of that's my clients, some of it's competitors, some of it's my clients. Competitors just from seeing it in the feed. The second column is job titles. So again, that's really interesting for me to make sure that I'm hitting the right audience with my content. And also in terms of location as well, am I hitting the right locations for my business in terms of my content getting out there? Now, I've just spotted that I don't have a slide deck for Instagram in here. I thought I'd prepared one, but I've just noticed that I don't have one. Instagram also has wonderful insights that are available by your phone. So if you have upgraded your Instagram account to a business account, then please do have a look at the insights, because again, you will see data around how many people are viewing your post, the kind of content they're viewing, the demographics of your audience from age, gender, should be location on there as well, and also times of day. So really all the answers to how well your content is performing, if you're reaching the right audience by each platform, is within the data available on that platform itself. So if you have that objective, that measure of success of driving traffic to your own website, Google Analytics is where you're going to find the success data for that. The reason that your website is so important to this big picture is because you own it. You don't own your social media profile. It's unlikely that you're even paying for it. You're kind of renting space on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, but you own your website. So using it to drive traffic is really, really important. So if you log in and down the left-hand side, go to your acquisition and overview, you will see how traffic is coming to your website. Remember, along the top, you can toggle and choose the dates, the time period that you're looking for. You can even compare to the time compared to previous time periods if you want to. But you get a graph that's similar to this that shows how traffic is reaching your website, whether that's organic search, direct search, that's people directly inputting your URL, social media, referral, or other. You may see paid advertising on there. You may see email on there as well. But if you click into social media, you can actually then see a breakdown by social network. So this was an example, a previous screen grab of clicking on that social part of the acquisition report on Google Analytics, and I can see how much traffic is coming from Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Google+. We don't need to worry about Google+ because that is actually disappearing in April. You may also start to notice now that Instagram Stories is reported separately in your Google Analytics. So there's a couple of things to really look at in terms of the volume of traffic that's coming to your website by social media platform, but also the bounce rate. That is how quickly they leave your website. Pages per session is how much of your website that they look through versus how much time they spend on your website. So I can actually see that even though Twitter doesn't quite drive as much traffic as Facebook to my website, they look at 3 pages on average versus the 1.67 from Facebook. Again, think about what is it you want people to do when they come to your website from social media, and that's what you should be measuring. So I hope you can see that actually the data is all there. You don't need to pay for expensive platforms to obtain the data. What's important is that you know what you're looking for and that you review it regularly. So in my social media planner and the separate social media measurements that matter workbook, what I record at the end of every month is the website traffic. You can see these are screenshots from the books themselves. I record the website traffic in terms of total sessions and how much has come via social media. I then look at that second Google Analytics slide and break it down by the individual platforms. I look at those Twitter stats that I showed you come from Twitter Analytics in terms of the size of my audience, the content, and the breakdown of the audience profile too. I would look at my LinkedIn profile individually, and if I had a company page that I was running, I would look at those stats as well, all in terms of the size of your audience, profile views, and appearances. And I'd make some notes. Numbers are great, but actually to look at the data and maybe make some notes and work out what was my most popular tweet, what was my most popular LinkedIn post, so that I know to repeat that again in the future. And there's a second page for this. It's to look at your Facebook page insights and your Instagram insights as well. Again, looking at the numbers, but also making some notes and observations. Accompanying the book, you know, it's great to write things down, but some people are visual, some people like to track it month on month. So I also have my own spreadsheet template. It comes with the book if you were to purchase it. There is a tab by website traffic, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, pages, Instagram, where you can put in the data and it will create the charts that may give you a more visual representation of the data that matters to you. And then the final exercise that I believe is really important to do on a monthly basis, not just look at the numbers and the notes, but social media is an ongoing thing, continual improvement. So I just always write down and spend some time reviewing what I'm going to keep doing, what I'm going to stop doing, what I'm going to start doing, and perhaps try something new, perhaps respond to a new feature or piece of functionality, and write some notes as well. So I kept that to almost a half an hour session. Thank you for listening so far. I have got some resources to share with you, and I will pop the Instagram slide into the deck for when you get a copy of it after this session. Has anyone got any questions about social media measurement? I know on the last webinar it took a while for the questions to come through. Just wait a few minutes and see if there are any questions. I think what's really important is that we get over the conversations of likes and number of followers, and that's as much for marketers and senior managers to have the conversation about what we should be measuring and what really matters to our business as well. Can you measure on a LinkedIn showcase page? I believe that there are stats for that as well. So just for anyone that isn't aware, LinkedIn showcase pages are kind of sub pages from a company page. So that could be used when you have specific products and services that you want to share with your audience. It could be country specific. I don't tend to generally recommend that people use showcase pages, because not only is it already tough to build an audience for a company page, it's even harder for a showcase page. And that's because when you have a company page, all the employees of your organization automatically follow it when they've added it to their experience section. They don't automatically follow a showcase page. So you've got to internally get people to follow it, and almost do an extra job of follow the company page and follow individual showcase pages. Now, I would need to double check, but if showcase page data is the same as company page data, then it doesn't give you information about who is following it. And I think it's highly likely from research that I've done previously that, again, it would be employees, it would be competitors, and perhaps not your customers and prospects. So it could be time to review even whether you use showcase pages, but I'll certainly pop something in the resources on how to find that data. Is B2B engagement lower? Lower than B2C? I guess the question is. B2B and B2C are not like for like. What we need to remember is that people do business with people. So even if it's B2B, we are still talking to people. What I find in B2B is actually numbers are lower in terms of the potential audience size, because they tend to be more niche, but also in terms of the number of customers that a B2B organization needs to engage with compared to B2C. In terms of engagement ratios, I'm not sure whether they're like for like, but as I said, it's about your data and what matters to your business and continually improving, rather than comparing to something else or another business or another industry or audience. We do quite often see that, for example, LinkedIn is more of a B2B platform than perhaps Facebook. So again, it's not really kind of comparing apples with apples on that one. Focus on your own business goals and what you need to measure. Do I measure weekly or monthly? I think, again, it depends on your business goals. I think sometimes weekly can be too much. You drown in data. Is it relevant? Maybe perhaps if you had a campaign going or you're attending a big event and we're expecting an uplift, it would be worth looking at it weekly. But I think monthly really is enough, particularly because apart from on Instagram on your phone, when you're using Facebook Insights, LinkedIn data, Twitter analytics, you can, and Google Analytics, you can change the time period anyway. So you can always look in retrospect if you didn't check it week on week. I think it's what's important to you. But with social media in particular, you know, particularly as a freelancer, contractor, business owner, it's about time management. It can take time, it can be a time suck. So it depends what you need to measure and manage as to how often you record it. But I think monthly is absolutely fine unless you've got something really specific, time specific going on. Great question. On average, how long would you say it takes to analyze this data per platform monthly? I think if once you've familiarised yourself and you know where to go and find the data that you need, it's a few minutes. I think once you've set up your own dashboard or your own spreadsheet, like the template that I provide, it's a case of inputting that data. I'd probably say, you know, if you do an overall business review, half an hour a month, in terms of your activity and your data. Again, it depends on the size of your business goals, and how much you need to analyse, but it really shouldn't take that long. It's all freely available, and you kind of get into the habit of knowing what to look for. So it's 1 o'clock. I will just keep an eye on in case any last minute questions come through. If they do come through afterwards, I'll get those sent on, or do feel free to contact me. Next month, our webinar is on the 11th of March, and I will be talking about how to use Facebook groups to build your business. As a reminder, a date for your diary, it is National Freelancers Day on the 20th of June. So if you haven't had a look at that event being run by IPSE, then do take a look. It's always a great event to get involved with. Thank you for your time. You will receive a copy of this recording and the slides, and please do feel free to contact me if you need any more resources or you have any more questions.